Good morning, everyone. I'm gonna check this mic before I continue. I guess it's working per prior experience.
I can hear you.
Yeah, no, but is it streaming? Yeah, okay, good. Yes, all right, thank you so much. Hi, my name is Natali Fani-González. I'm here with the Economic Development Committee, and the reason why we're having this session today and why we had the previous one a couple days ago, it's a review of what we have approved in the past fiscal year, and see how things are going in preparation for the upcoming budget conversations. As I mentioned last time we met, we approved millions of dollars in all this different type of work. So I think it could be, and this is the first time we're doing it this way, a good idea to go over the work that has taken place so far. So by the time we're dealing with the budget, we already have that strong background. We have 3 items today, and the first one for today will be the Business Center. And with that, I'm gonna ask Mr. Ali to kick us off, and then the executive team. Thank you.
That's good. Good morning. Or can you hear me? That doesn't matter. Can you guys hear me? It doesn't matter. I think it's fine. Is it working? I'm on. All right. It's not loud. Oh, whatever. Okay. Anyway, thank you. Good morning. Sorry. I just wanted to orient you all to the packet. It's very similar for all of these budget follow-up work sessions. There's a quick discussion of the review of the discussion that you had in March and April of last year. And in this case, there was a discussion of a few additional FTEs that were ultimately not funded as part of the overall budget. And then the Business Center has kindly provided some updates on accomplishments and progress to date. There are some metrics they track for 2024 that have increased in terms of the businesses they've assisted and engaged, and they've provided a few case studies which they can go over. They also have added a few new services in the next section at the top of page 3. Including working to provide an accelerator program, pathways to entrepreneurship events, and other programming that they can speak to. And then finally, there's a section on increasing the level of service, and they've provided a list of a few things that could add or enhance the services that they currently provide. They haven't provided cost estimates, but you could obviously ask questions to flesh out what those could look like and what enhancements they'd bring. So. We have some slides that I'll pull up right now.
Great, thank you. Gene Smith, Manager of the Business Center. I'm also joined here by Ken Hartman, Assistant Chief Administrative Officer, and also joined by several of our members from the Business Center team that I'll introduce throughout my quick presentation. Thanks, Bilal, let's get those up. So yeah, we wanted to just give a brief highlight of what we've been doing, what we've been working on. And so you can go ahead and go to the next slide. So I'll talk primarily, I think today is about the Business Center. I know that the incubators are a separate budget item, and that has been a focus both for the county executive and others. I don't want to miss that in just our general overview, but we'll primarily focus kind of on what our team has been doing to assist businesses. So I just want to take the opportunity to remind the viewers at home, that the Business Center is more than just business support, although we use that initially to help understand that we're here to help businesses start and grow. And so I just want to highlight our team's efforts and how comprehensively we provide services for all of our businesses. And so we do provide business support. We have 4 business liaisons. I think 2 of them are here, Patrice Chetham and Miss Marie Harvey, and Guzman Alola and Daniel Karum are also our other business liaisons. And they are feet on the street providing proactive outreach and direct assistance to many of our businesses. Also part of that group is Nadia Clute, who's our small business navigator, who works closely with that team to help navigate county processes and try to undo knots in just bureaucracy. I want to highlight our Innovation Center team, our group that works there. Alicia Chavez is here today. Richard Cineros is at home with well-deserved parental leave. But both of them are our day-to-day operators at the centers. They provide soup to nuts client management for those that are prospects and members of our network. They work with over 70 clients there at our 3 innovation centers, and they do a great job. And then finally, we also do contracts and funding. And so Stephanie Sawyer, who's not here, and Teresa Bicola, who's also here, they provide a lot of comprehensive support for the whole team. Teresa works a lot with the county grant programs, providing direct funding and microloans to our businesses. And then Stephanie helps oversee a lot of our contract management. We have more than $1.8 million worth of contracts for our resource partners to provide additional business resources. And so I just like to take the opportunity to remind, again, viewers at home, the council members, that our team is more than just the business liaisons. We do provide a lot of efforts to the county to help businesses start and grow. You can go to the next slide. Thank you. All right, so a few highlights from our activities for fiscal 25. We've been doing a lot. I want to highlight we're fully staffed. We've hired 3 additional staff over the last year or 2 years, Alicia, Guzman, Marie, and Patrice, although Patrice came on just right as soon as I was coming on. But we have staffed up. We are fully staffed, and I think that is shown in our metrics and our outreach and our ability to assist businesses. We shared some of the numbers in the packet. These are high-level numbers. I hope we'll have more. We can talk about more today, but we'll have more for our annual report that will come out later in March. And also we can have those conversations during the fiscal 26 operating budget. But in 2024, we were able to directly assist and engage more than 2,100 businesses. And I just want to highlight, direct assistance isn't a mere forward email or a mere email response, but usually follow-up assistance, client services, white glove services to get the business through whatever process they need to. And engagement, again, is not just a simple email out. The engagement that we measure is the direct door-to-door outreach that our business liaisons are doing in coordination with our regional partners. I'll just highlight that we have 4 liaisons. There's 5 regions. We do tend to focus regionally so that we can coordinate with our regional partners in the Regional Services Center. But given the size of our team, I just acknowledge that there are some areas that we're not able to consistently get to for outreach due to just staffing issues, but we do focus primarily in East County, Silver Spring, Mid-County, and along the Rockville corridor right now, given the 4 liaisons that we have. And then finally, our team also began doing more programming this year. This is something that Nadia Clute, who unfortunately can't be here right now today, has been taking the lead on as a small business navigator. So she worked with M&T Bank to provide a multicultural accelerator for many of our Latino-owned businesses or on Latino inspiring entrepreneurs in the county. Ms. Fani-González was a part of that celebration at the end. And it was a multi-week cohort to help businesses really dig in, get through the processes. And this is some of the areas we want to see our team invest in more, that it's not just one-off workshops, one-off networking, but cohorts that actually invest in the growth of a business, dig into whatever is going on for them and help them move forward. That one was culminated in a pitch contest where 3 businesses were able to receive a small county grant to further their growth efforts. In addition, Ms. Clute worked on the Pathways to Entrepreneurship with the Income Generation Group this year. She worked with multiple partners, more than I can remember and or list here at the moment. And we provided this opportunity for entrepreneurs from all backgrounds in our county to learn more about how to get their business started. One was in Rockville, one was in East County in partnership with Montgomery. Both of those were in partnership with Montgomery College. And I look forward to talking more about that. And then finally, not just Ms. Clute, but our business liaisons and our whole team is looking how do we expand programming. The incubator group is expanding programming, but we're also trying to identify gaps. And so in the packet, we did share some of the areas that our business liaisons are seeing and how our team can begin to address those gaps rather than just talk about them. And some of them include more legal support, not just simple legal support, but deep legal support where our businesses can help get more assistance through whatever issues they have with their leases or contracts. Because the reality is our businesses, when they sign a lease or sign a business contract, they're not a resident, they're not a renter. They are a business-to-business contract, and they're not governed in the same way as like renters are, and so they do need legal assistance to navigate that. So our team is looking how do we provide that. I think all of our businesses, including the business center, need more marketing support just to get the narrative and the message out there. And then finally, we've been addressing how do we talk about public safety support for our businesses as they bring that up as our team does outreach. Finally, sorry, one more before we move on. That's okay. I just want to highlight some of the complementary support our whole team does. So we manage the MOVE program, the SBIR grant matching program, the Purple Line grant program, the microloan program, and our team, mostly Stephanie and Deressa, but our whole team provides comprehensive support from, again, soup to nuts for businesses as they apply. We work through them to cure their applications if there are any issues. We work with them to get them into the central vendor registration system because they have to apply for that in order to get county funding. And so there are hours of work that our team provides back office-wise to get businesses through those processes. As you can see, we've updated some of our collateral. Ms. Marie Harvey worked with the Public Information Office and our team this year to begin to give some more coalesce around an image, around an understanding of who our team is and what we are. I have some flyers that we have been using that I can share with you all and also provide to your offices that you can give to businesses as you meet with them. And I think it gives a great opportunity, and it's a great image to show how our team connects all of the resources here in the county, how we connect businesses to those resources, and I'm proud of the team's work in that. And then finally, we mentioned last year we're going to be implementing a client relationship management system this year, and we did it. We spent the whole year, and I think we can spend hours talking about that, but it allows me and senior managers such as Mr. Hartman or Ms. Costello, who's also oversees the business center, or you all, to be able to understand how our team is directly impacting businesses, how quickly are we providing those services, and in what kind of services are we providing. So I'll end with a few of the highlights, the summary, the success stories we've seen this year. 3 of them we shared in our packet. Given the time, I'll be brief. So the first one, Ms. Kloot was working with Enclave Co-working. They opened up 2 offices here in the county this year, one in Gaithersburg and one in Bethesda. And she spent countless hours working with their team and permitting services, especially to get them through the permitting process for the Bethesda office. So they could open those 2 offices. I believe they have a third one that they're looking for. The second one we highlighted in in the packet is the Precious Poses Kid Yoga. Ms. Harvey worked with them. Sometimes they're just simple answers. They were looking, they had a dream. They had to pause their dream because there were other issues in life. And they just needed to kind of restart that process. And Ms. Harvey walked them through that, and they've opened and started. And then finally, Alicia Chavez, who I mentioned earlier for our incubator group, worked at the end of the year. There was an innovation grant available through an outside organization for our members in the incubators. She worked with myself and the team to get all of their information together, to get them their reference letters, et cetera. And I'm happy to announce that I just learned this week 2 of them out of the 8 did receive that grant. And so those were the 3 stories we mentioned there, and I'll highlight 3 more, several from your offices. So Councilmember Glass's office earlier this year shared about the Woodley Garden Shopping Center and some of the impacts there. I believe a lot of that was resolved outside of the business center. I'll just admit that. But Patrice Chedham did work with a couple of the businesses there to give them some of their legal assistance support when they were trying to work with the landlord through that situation. Again, a business came to us looking for a home here in the county. Living in Style was the name of that business. And they had looked in Howard County, and through Guzman Ayola's work and Alicia Chavez's work, we were able to get her connected to the Silver Spring Innovation Center, where she will be having a home there for a little bit as she looks for a larger space and a more permanent home here in the county. And then finally, kind of already mentioned the accelerator program, but Nadia Kloot, who has been working with a lot of businesses, worked with Ella Solutions from Councilmember Sayles' office to get them plugged into the multicultural accelerator so they could grow. So I know that's a lot, highlights, but wanted to highlight our successes as we close, and look forward to the conversation. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Smith. Before I open it up, do you have any comments, Mr. Hartman?
And thank you so much, Chair Fani-González. For the record, Ken Hartman, Espada, Assistant Chief Administrative Officer. We're very proud of the work, the frontline, direct, proactive work that this small but mighty team accomplishes for Montgomery County and for our businesses. I think they have a very positive track record. I know we often get dinged for issues related to the business climate, but they are out there on the front lines, making the contact, proactively identifying the issues and resolving them. And they have the metrics and they have the case studies to prove it. So I know Jean mentioned earlier that we'd like to add more business liaisons. Because the team that we have, there's endless work. Your offices deal with businesses, the regional directors deal with businesses, they work with businesses. And the more we all collaborate, the better we can turn that narrative. And I know your offices know Gene, know his team, access them, and we just want to say, continue to do that. They are here to help all of Montgomery County's small businesses not just the retail establishments, but our entrepreneurs, people who are looking to start businesses. They are out there, and we're very excited with their continued measurable impact that they're having.
Perfect. Thank you so much for that. I'm gonna kick it off, and then I'm assuming that you both have questions. So the first one is, especially ahead of the budget, I need to understand more how the business center is working with the different local chambers that we have in Montgomery County, and how can we improve that relationship? They're engaged with the up-and-coming businesses. Think about the Olney Chambers, downtown Silver Spring, the Greater Silver Spring Chamber of Commerce, Wheaton, Kensington one, the ones in Germantown, and so on. How can we strengthen that relationship? Have you thought about it? And if so, can you give us a hint? And are we expecting to see some of that work included in the upcoming budget? What's the thought?
Sure. I'll get us started, and if Mr. Hartman has some more. So yes, we do work with the chambers. I coordinate with many of their CEOs, their executive directors, for similar issues, such as when you all said that they have an assistance question, they have an ask. So whether it's Paula Ross from the Gaithersburg Germantown Chamber, or Stephanie from Silver Spring Chamber, others, Allie from the Greater Bethesda Chamber all the time, like, they'll just send requests to me or to anyone on the team. And so we do have a working relationship with many of our chambers to know that we exist. The county's business center is here to help. Certainly the chambers have their own mission, their own way that they want to provide value to those businesses, and so we don't want to get in the way of that. We do meet regularly with several of our chambers just to have an honest conversation about what's going on. And then we do also support several of our kind of minority-owned or minority-focused chambers, the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, the Black Chamber of Commerce, to provide direct assistance through that. So I would say, I think the way I look at it is we're one of the many partners that can help businesses in the county, and so I think over the last 2 years, personally, I've tried to roll that out slowly so that we don't step on the toes of our chambers and or other partners that are in the county. But I think they're beginning to see the value add that our team has and provides. And I see that through the direct emails we get to provide assistance to businesses, but certainly I could see ways for us to continue to further that relationship. I think it's a matter of figuring out how does the county's business center interface with the chamber's mission so that we can do our missions together, not overlap too much. And in terms of the budget, I can't speak to where that is or isn't going right now as the county executive considers all of his options during the fiscal 26 budget.
I do think it's very important to formalize that relationship even more, understanding their value and what they bring to the table. It makes a huge difference. A small business owner, they will go to some of these chambers before they get to the government. That's just a fact. And I am interested to see how we can, and I'm just using the word, formalize that relationship even more. And then at some point, we do need to get an update on how much money we're spending in all the grants that we have approved in the last budget, and see how that's going. We don't need to do that today, but I do hope to get something in writing for the entire committee, and see all the micro loans, the ones that go through as equity, the ones that are, all the different ones that we just approved. How is that going? And we need that information before we hit the budget, okay? So if there's an update that we can have on this, I'll get it.
I don't, Bilal, you have to tell me. I think there's been a spreadsheet shared, or it will be shared imminently, which has that detail from finance.
Yeah, we look forward to that. Okay.
The EDF conversation,
Yeah.
just to be clear.
Yeah, but that's very important. Okay. So do you want to kick it off, Councilmember Balcombe?
We're having mic problems today. Okay, thank you. You know, I'm your number 1 fan, and I think this is a great service that for the county and for our businesses. And I appreciate your comments about legal support and marketing support. I think those are just so critical, particularly for our small businesses and our emerging entrepreneurs. They have great ideas, great passion, even resources, but the legal piece is a piece that I think is so important. So I appreciate you bringing that up, and also the marketing support. So appreciate both of those. And I think that the work that you do, you really have the liaisons have the best vantage point to look at what the obstacles are for businesses, whether that's county code, state, funding, whatever those obstacles are. So how do you, or do you, accumulate that information, and what are your thoughts in terms of what we can do here to help businesses?
Certainly, thank you for the question, Councilmember Balcombe. So we do collect that information both through the client relationship management system and just in our regular conversations. You're right, the business liaisons are on the front line. They report back what they're hearing from their businesses. Unsurprisingly, like since they're in different regions of the county, there's different issues. And so sometimes it's not one size fits all, but we definitely collect that information. And then Ms. Klude, who's the small business navigator, I work with her closely to figure out if there's issues that are, if businesses are getting stuck, especially in county government, how do we get them unstuck? And sometimes, I'll just be frank, sometimes we can do that internally on the executive side without getting everybody involved, not because we don't need the weight, so to speak, but because it's just an internal issue that we can easily address. And so I've been working closely with her to make sure we're getting those recommendations to the county executive, to senior management, and to the right departments. We also want to just respect our other departments, like they have their own personnel issues, their own missions, and we don't need to blow them up, so to speak, publicly about those things. But yes, so we do collect that. I think we began talking yesterday as a team about how we want to report those things now that we've been collecting that information. A little premature for this meeting, but I'm hoping by the time we get to budget, we'll have that information in some way through in the annual report or available for the budget, so we can be more comprehensive in terms of how that information was collected and what it says about areas that where the gaps we are, where gaps exist and how we're addressing them.
Yeah, I appreciate that, and I appreciate your comment about if you can handle it quickly internally, that's great. And because if we're involved, we would just turn right back around to the departments and do that. I do think that looking at trends is important in that if 3 years goes by and you're getting the same issues, then something needs to change. And if we need to be involved, if we don't need to be involved, that's great. But if we do, that if there's something that can change or funding that, and I know that you requested funding last year, and I'm assuming you'll ask for additional staff this year. I think that's just so important that we know the reasons why it's so important for you to have additional funding, additional staff. So I think that's important. So appreciate getting that kind of feedback. And then the issue of, given your staffing, how do you decide the geographic locations to focus on?
It's a combination of where do we need to invest the staff we currently have based on historical trends in the county and for outreach, as well as the particular acumen and interest of those staff. So I did work collaboratively with all of the liaisons to match them up. And I think given some of our team's growth, the reality is I don't think it's going to be perfectly matched anymore with the regional centers. So for example, this year, Guzman is one of our liaisons. He's fluent in Spanish. And so we actually divided Mid-County between Patrice and him so that he could work more closely with Louisa in Mid-County, where there's a lot of businesses that do speak Spanish primarily, in Glenmont and Aspen Hill and those areas. And Patrice is more focused in other areas down, say, Norbeck to the Rockville Pike area, but includes Olney. So we're trying to get it spread as thin as possible without too thin. But some of it is historic and some of it, because Mr. Croma had been in Silver Spring for a long time, and so he remains in Silver Spring for now. But I think that has been the approach, is how do we best match staff with the regional centers that they're going to work with and the clientele they're going to work with. But we do, and I failed to mention it, so I appreciate the opportunity to do it now. We do try to get to every area in the county, and so there is opportunities to do that, whether in areas I didn't mention, such as Up County or Bethesda, where whether it's through an opportunity, there was a Germantown plan or update that was happening, that planning was doing, I always encourage them to reach out to us. They're like, how do we get to businesses? That's what our team's here for. Work with us. We will do that direct contact. We can do it with you. We can do it for you. We'll share what the county has, but that's an opportunity for us to do outreach in a focused area that we might normally not get to. I'm looking, how do we do that in Bethesda, given the volume of businesses there this year with the team? But that is, yeah, I don't think I have anything else, but.
No, it's what Gene said, there is a force multiplier with the regional centers. They're very talented people, program managers and the directors in the regional centers who are also on the front line talking to businesses. I know Jake Adler up county is amazing in his ability to get to businesses. We now have organizations that are forming in Germantown, Friendship Heights, and we have BUP and Bethesda. So there are opportunities for us to knit this sweater, a little tighter, and we'll be working on that. We have been working on that as these business-centered organizations rise up to tap into their what they're hearing and their presence on the street, so to speak.
Thank you, and I understand that the staff is spread thin. I think that the great advantage of having liaisons in specific geographic areas is that they know the area, they know the businesses, and they can really work with the climate of the area. And so, of course, the county not having that, it's not just the direct service to the individual businesses. It's having access to all of county resources and having that knowledge of all the county resources, like grants. So a business may be working with a liaison on one specific issue, but in the course of that relationship, the liaison shares all the other services. And so I feel like it's, and you use the term force multiplier, right? The issue is that we need to make sure that all our businesses and all of our residents have the access to all of the resources that the county provides. So I know that that's a budget issue, and we'll talk about that when we get the budget. So I just appreciate that. And then last question, your coordination with MCEDC and how that functions.
It functions similar to all of our economic development partners. So as I think it was shared a couple years ago when the Business Center was more or less formed, MCDC works on strategic industries. They focus on those, and then the county's Business Center handles all the rest. And so hand in glove, I mean, no wrong door, all the cliches there, but if MCDC regularly forwards clients to us, if they're not in their strategic industry, we get several restaurants, retail businesses that are looking to do that, and then we make that connection and carry it from there. Similarly, if business comes to us that's not looking for an innovation network question, so if there's a query for the innovation network, we connect them with MCDC, but then there's something our team needs to do, and that's probably the only place where there's more overlap because we have life sciences and technology. But if they're not looking for something for a query for the innovation network, we'll forward it to one of their business development specialists there.
Great, thank you.
Councilmember Glass. And before you move on, I think Councilmember Laurie-Anne Sayles has joined us virtually. Yes, thank you.
Great. Thank you very much, Madam Chair. Thank you both for the presentation. I want to start by extending my appreciation and acknowledgement for the work that the team does, and you're all here. So thank you for being out in the community and knocking on doors. And I did some of that last summer with Ms. Marie Harvey, and appreciated walking around White Oak, the White Oak Shopping Center. I'm talking to small businesses, a number of the restaurants and beauty shops and Ethiopian goods, right? And so people were really appreciative. It's that type of work that my colleagues are referring to that is so important, and I'm really impressed by the statistics that you've shared, a 14% increase And clearly, that's because of the investments, the personnel, and Judy's impressed by that, too. The investments that we're making in personnel to make those personal connections and offers of support. And so I'm glad we're moving in this direction. I have two overarching questions. I know that you have stated in the packet, Mr. Smith, that there are increased levels of support or requests for support. And you have categorized them as legal support, marketing support, public safety support, technical support, and then having more business liaisons. That's pretty much all the support that you all provide, so more is needed. But can you articulate a little bit more with whatever level of specificity you can? What are the small businesses asking for? Which goes way beyond your role, right, and the role of the team, because clearly with public safety and some of these other things, it touches all aspects of county government. But what are small businesses asking for?
Sure. I would say that probably the only thing in there that is not mentioned is more capital. Most of our businesses need more capital. That is a common phrase. Unfortunately, the county has limited grant programs. We do have the microloan program, but not every business wants to avail themselves of that for obvious business reasons. And so a lot of businesses do come to us asking like, hey, is there a grant to get my business started? Is there a grant to help me do X, Y, and Z? And the answer is usually no, but we can help you connect with these other resources that may have opportunities or may be able to help you figure that out. And then I think, again, to answer your question, I do think that a lot of the specific support that they're requesting is what we mentioned. I mean, the legal support, like, it's everything, but right now the county doesn't have, at least through our resource partners, actual attorneys that can meet with businesses and give them one-on-one consultation. And then, more importantly, if, again, there's an actual issue that they need to go to court for because they can't resolve it with whether it's a landlord or another business, we have no ability to help them with that. They would need to go procure their own attorney to represent them for that purpose if they want to, and that is a costly thing. So I think that's why we mentioned, like, that is a common theme when they're like, well, I'm having an issue with my landlord, what can I do? Well, we can, through our partner for the Latino Economic Development Center, they do have some small 1-hour consultation where they can get some general legal assistance. They can look at the lease, they can give them, like, here's what you can't do. But I think when we mention legal support, we're thinking a little more comprehensive. And so I think I'll pause there and see if that's where you're headed, but I kind of feel like I'm missing something, so I want to.
No, well, so you're speaking about it from the business component, right? And what they need as businesses to succeed, and that's what you speak of for capital and legal, and you mentioned DPS, and all of that makes sense, and I'll come back to DPS in a second. But what external factors are more business owners expressing concern about public safety, about maybe their parking lots or other things that some we can control and some we can't?
So I definitely would want to dig into the specific data for that, but yes, all of those. I mean, the reality is with the business liaisons and just with the general ability for businesses to contact the county, I mean, anything that you might think is an issue has been mentioned. I don't have the data right now to suggest which ones are greater than others, but yes, like we mentioned specifically public safety because during outreach, some of our businesses in particular parts of the county have mentioned that to us as concerns. You're right that requires a higher level of coordination, not just from the business center, but in the county government and with partners in the shopping centers, sometimes landlords, sometimes other businesses. And then in terms of other external factors, I mean, increased lease rates have been a concern, again, outside of the county's control in terms of what the current commercial rates are. But I do know that we do receive several of those. I think, given your question, it'll be best if we look and dig into that particular slice of data, but I think all of the things you've mentioned I've seen as questions or ways that businesses are looking for the county to help them.
Thank you for that. And so I'll share with you and your team as you're continuing to have these on-the-ground conversations. Please compile what you're hearing to help us, because as the Economic Development Committee, You know, we have a member on the Planning, Housing, and Parks, and 2 members of Transportation and Environment. And this is a holistic approach to making sure that our small businesses can succeed outside of this committee's jurisdiction, right? So welcome those ideas and thoughts so that we can have a more holistic approach. One other item, you mentioned DPS, and we, as a committee, had a hearing on Monday to review DPS, and part of that review was their website, which we had requested as a way to help navigate small businesses through the permitting process. I would encourage you all to take a look at that website. I had some critiques of it. It's a good step, but I think it can be streamlined and it can be simplified. Because we recognize that the people probably going to the website and going to you do not have attorneys, do not have lobbyists, and the jargon that is sometimes imbued in government websites is not as helpful, despite the intent to be helpful. It is not as helpful as necessary. And so encourage you all to go to that DPS website and share with them your thoughts, because you're the ones who really know the people who are using that. So I share that. And then lastly, also appreciate the success stories, because I know last time we talked, I said we have to personify this. And so thank you for sharing some of those success stories. And as you continue talking, continue to personify it, because we need to have the best information from what you're hearing to help the people you are directly working with. So I think this is a great update. Thank you, Madam Chair, and look forward to continuing the conversation.
Thank you so much. On the public safety, the drone as first response program, when I did a town hall meeting on that program in my district, I would say half of the people who were there were business owners from the area, okay? The fentanyl crusade that I've been doing, making sure the fentanyl is off streets, the small businesses have been a strong partner. They're the ones who have been complaining because the most. And I'm going again this year to Annapolis on the fentanyl bill that is coming back, now sponsored by Senator Jeff Goldstryker. And I'm going with business owners because they see the need, and the county executive has been a great ally on this issue. Hopefully will pass this year. So public safety goes side by side with economic development, as it was mentioned. With that, thank you so much for being here. And we're going to move on to our next item on the agenda on the UM3 Institute for Health. I'm going to ask, I don't see Mr. Tom Lewis here.
I sent a message.
Is he, well, and Mr. Ken Hartman, can you still remain here? No, you have to go. And I had Dr. Brad. Is he? But he has to go. So I need to hire for him. Because then it's just you. Because Mr. Lewis is not here.
Sorry, I tried to.
And it's okay. It's not your fault, but. So if we can take it away, because I know you have a hard stop at 10:30. Do you want to kick it off?
Yeah, I
Thank
can
you.
orient to the packet here. Just basically by way of background, this is the second year of UM3's, the NDA's existence. It was authorized originally for FY24. The discussion really centered around the increase of 1.3 million above the sort of average 5 million that was agreed as part of an MOU to support some of their operations, and it was voted upon because it was just delayed from the first year. With respect to that question, we did ask UM3 staff if they were expecting to request 5 million again, and they said yes. So there's no, that issue seems to have been resolved. In terms of their progress, they've provided some of the economic development outcomes that they've achieved, and we specifically requested that they sort of provide an overview of that, because obviously they do a lot of detailed scientific research, which has a lot of impacts, but in terms of how it's supporting our economy, they're already engaged in multiple partnerships with local businesses and institutions. They have different types of engagements, including allowing those businesses to use their facilities and resources because they have some really high-powered computing ability, and they want to continue to do that and support that. They've also spun off one company so far from their work, and they have an active commercialization process, and they've hired more staff to support the commercialization of their research, and that's updated, and there's an update of that, of their total staffing levels as well. Finally, there was an application in for ARPA H grant in the amount of $15 million plus $30 million matched by the city of Baltimore and one other institution, pardon me, and they're going to conduct an analysis using that funding, but I think it's obviously under risk now, and so unsure what the status is. All of that is very new. I'm not sure if there's a response to how they'll respond to what the status is or if they have an update on that, but certainly that was something big that they were planning and hoping to receive in the amount of $45 million. With this one, to the extent that their budget is sort of part of the MOU, here the discussion of how to increase the level of service was just a series of high-level questions about how they could improve economic development outcomes or what they would recommend the committee and council consider to either promote their work or increase engagements with industry, and just trying to understand what else the county could do to support them while understanding what else they're doing currently to really grow the economy specifically. Of course, that's just one of their many missions. So sorry for the haphazard run through there, but yeah.
So, Ms. Judy Costello, thank you for being here today. If you can, please.
Sure. I don't want to speak for Tom or Dr. Marin, but, and good to see you, Madam Chair and council members. I do, as with the Business Center, where Gina and I are talking every day, and we're proud of all the work that was just relayed. With the University of Maryland IHC, we were in touch with them weekly in terms of either referring companies to them or asking them for a meeting. Some of it is confidential, but as recently as 2 days ago, 5 members, the leaders of the Institute of Health Computing, met with 5 senior digital health, population health experts at a large pharma company, very large pharma company based in the county. And that meeting was facilitated by the county executive and our staff. That happens on a regular basis. There are, I don't have the exact figures from the report, but I know that there are at least 70 staff that have been hired at the IHC and are there on a regular basis. Did anybody come in? No. Even with the remote work policies and stuff, I was in that building because we're looking at a new AI Innovation Center in that building. I walked in Wednesday 2 weeks ago, and Dr. Marin, who's one of the co-directors, and 24 people were there. So they're not just showing up for our meetings and our show and tell. We leverage that institute in every economic development conversation and pitch that we have, similar to the new BioHub asset that we'll be talking about, and our federal institutions. And the AI and health aspect of it is very well received because it's a topic that we hear nationally around the world. So that gives you a little more color and insight. I can tell you some of the practical applications too that they're talking about are very important to the county. Their diversity that I think you've heard about, the 2 million very diverse anonymous patient data sets. When drug manufacturers are trying to figure out, is this going to work on people who look like me or people who are from different backgrounds, that is top of mind for them. Predicting drug shortages is top of mind for them, and then drug discovery. And they've got experts that have deep expertise. So bringing them all together, I think, was a wonderful thing, and we appreciate the council's support.
So, Chair Fani-González and members of the committee, my apologies that the team isn't here for you. I know they love talking about their progress. And there's a fantastic summary, quarterly progress, I think on Circle 1 of the packet. It's exciting to have them here. As you know, this institute is envisioned to be the cornerstone of the North Bethesda Metro development, and everything is trending in the right way for that development to happen and for that vision to be realized. The University of Maryland system is a fantastic partner. We were just on a call the other day with a major company in Montgomery County about how the institute can align with their needs and how they can collaborate. And I think they've exceeded their goals in bringing on the staff that they needed. They are establishing partnerships not just locally with companies, but nationally with experts in the fields that they're working in. I just want to offer at some point, maybe we can find a little bit extra time when we get to the budget, because I know they would love to tell you everything about what they're doing.
Yes, and I think that's a great idea to really focus on this when you guys come back during the budget, and also the relationship that we're having in Montgomery County with the state. I know the governor's office is very involved in this, and I think it's so important to continue having that great relationship and improve it. Maybe we should have somebody from the state. I know there are some changes within the Department of Commerce, and that will probably impact this work with a new personnel shifting going on over there. So let's keep that in mind as we prepare for the budget presentation on this item. And I know you had to go in a couple of minutes. Do you have any questions or comments, please?
No questions, just a comment. Many of us were at the ribbon cutting for their space, and they had different kiosks set up to show demonstrations, and it's just out of this world what they're doing. I think it's really exciting. I feel very proud that they're doing this work in Montgomery County, and the sky's the limit. So I'm really excited about what's happening here.
That's great.
Oh, go ahead.
If I can add one more thing, I mean, we may from time to time talk about how business climate is judged or measured, but one of the metrics that you see is engagement with higher ed. And this is definitely something that we hope will continue to grow and bring in additional higher ed partners into Montgomery County.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. With that, we're gonna move on to our third and final item of the day, BioHub Maryland NDA. So happy, Ms. Costello, you're already sitting there because you don't move. And I think we have folks on virtually as well. Can you please kick us off, Mr. Ali?
Yeah, thank you. So I'll just orient you to the packet again. BioHub NDA was approved as part of this budget for the first time, and it's a 5-year commitment through FY29, funding with an inflationary increase to support rent and administrative services there, and followed up to understand if there was any expectation for additional funding or anything, and they have not stated that would be the case. So this will be, we'll continue to support them over the next 5 years under the dollars that you see on page 3. They have signed a lease officially, and they're located in the Life Sciences Center of the Great Seneca area in an 8,200 square foot space, and that space has been fitted out with the equipment that they need to start training cohorts. We asked them to follow up and sort of provide some context about whether they think they can self-sustain financially going forward, because the agreement is for 5 years. And according to Maryland Tech Council staff, they're working with their industry partners on different funding models and understanding what resources are out there from the private sector. But they have indicated that it is possible that in 5 years they could look at either a continuation of the partnership or some other support. And so that may be something you want to either discuss now or going forward to continue to understand how their progress is being made on achieving that funding. They do have some contributions from the state as well, and you can see that on the top of page 4. They also have provided some updates on their training program. They signed the lease in the late part of the calendar year 2024, and so they've had 1 cohort so far. Table 2 shows what their goals are for total trainees through FY29, and approximately half of those will be Montgomery County residents. Then there was also just the question of, at what threshold of trainees would the BioHub move the needle on creating a pipeline of skilled workers? And so they've provided an answer here. They state that they estimate that hundreds or thousands of positions will be created over the next 5 years. They intend to survey local biopharma employers on their hiring projections and set a benchmark against the information that they find there. And the key performance indicator for them will be feedback from those employers who hire their trainees. They did have one cohort, and one of those trainees was hired. I think the others were already employed and getting ongoing training. Just also wanted to understand what they're doing to market and promote the BioHub, and they've provided some explanation of that. They also have a video and some slides so they can sort of speak to that in more detail. And finally, just as a suggested question, thinking about recommending to the community to think about how to maybe grow their impact or better understand what visibility they're providing to Montgomery County businesses specifically, because ultimately it is BioHub Maryland and intended to serve the whole state, but it is located in Montgomery County. With that, I can turn it over to Ms. Ferrone, who is here from the Maryland Tech Council. We have slides, but also a video, and I don't know if, Ms. Ferrone, if you want me to play the video first, or if you want to speak to the slides first, just let me know.
Good morning. Thank you for being here. Let's play the video, guys. Ms. Ferron, do you want us to put up the slides, or do you want to kick off right now? Okay, go ahead. I'm so sorry, can we wait for 1 second because the folks who are watching us online, they cannot hear anything. Give us 1 second. We hear you perfectly. It's just the millions watching at home. Just 1 second. Can you, Ms. Ferron, can you please say something right now so we can check?
Yes, good morning.
Can tech staff tell me?
Yes.
Does it work?
Is it working?
Yes, I'm getting a thumbs up.
Okay, good.
But you don't have to start from the beginning. We heard you loud and clear. It's just, you
Okay.
can continue.
If we could go to the next slide, please, Bilal. And as you can see here, we're very pleased to report that our goals and milestones that were outlined in the agreement that we signed were not only met, but they were achieved earlier than expected. In the grant agreement, we have the opening of our BioHub Center in Montgomery County to be open in years 1 to 2. We were talking about the planning, the design, validation, and commissioning, operational readiness, and the ribbon cutting. Well, as you all know, we did complete a lot of those tasks, and we did have our ribbon cutting, which was extremely valuable to showcase the BioHub and to show people what we're doing. With this early completion, it is a testament of what the Maryland Tech Council and our teams have been doing to be proactive about the center and to execute this project. And with these milestones successfully completed ahead of time, we are now working even harder to enroll more students, continue to drive the success and the growth of the initiative. Later in the spring, we are going to have another cohort with Works.
We lost Ms. Ferron. She's frozen. So can, uh-oh. Yeah, if you can hear me, if you please can turn off your video, maybe that you have better, oh, I see you. Can you speak? There, you're back now. Go ahead.
Hi. And then we're going to have another cohort coming up in the spring with WorkSource Montgomery. Again, we're going to have workshops and specific industry training to upskill in upstream and downstream gene and cell therapy, clean room validation, and things of that nature. So we did bring our workforce coalition together, and they have let us know what they're interested in. They are going to meet with NIBRD. They're coming in, as you know, NIBRD is our partner in the curriculum, and they're going to be coming in February, and we're all going to be meeting with the companies on the Workforce Coalition, most of them in Montgomery County. The next slide, please. Again, just to talk a little bit more about our first cohort, in our partnership with WorkSource Montgomery, you can see here that there were 6 students that came in. These students, it was probably one of the most amazing things that I've done in my career is working with WorkSource Montgomery and Maryland Tech Council and BioHub to bring these students into the classroom. They expressed very much their gratitude for the course, highlighting its life-changing impact and the exciting career opportunities that's opening up for them. One even emphasized how the course has sparked interest in the pharmaceutical industry and the desire to contribute to health solutions and saving people's lives. Others also noted that the content was easy to follow, making it very beneficial for both the beginners and those who have prior experience, as it would provide a very thorough overview of the entire process of biomanufacturing. And I am very excited to say, as he reported earlier, one of our students had graduated, received a job offer from United Therapeutics, and is ready to start in February. It's very rewarding. They loved it. They came every day. They didn't miss a class. And they also have a bond with each other. It was just a great experience. And the last slide, please. And as you can see here, that BioMaryland is playing a pivotal role in helping Montgomery County's life science companies upgrade their employee skills. By offering this customized training and the programs that we're going to ensure that the workers can advance their careers in their current roles, and that's going to foster long-term growth both for the company and for their staff. BioHub is also serving as an attraction tool for biotech companies looking to establish or expand their presence in Montgomery County. It provides a tailored workforce training solution which allows companies to quickly scale up their teams and the specific skills they need, ensuring that businesses can grow and thrive in this area. And by supporting the development of skilled workforce and helping attract biotech companies, BioHub is directly contributing to the economic growth of Montgomery County. It's also ensuring that we're helping retain top talent in the region, providing both new and existing workers with pathways to a meaningful and high-paying career. Do you have any questions for me this morning? I'm happy to answer.
Thank you so much for the presentation.
Thank you.
If before we open it up for questions, Ms. Costello, any comments that would you like to share?
No, I know, speaking for the county executive, he's happy that with your support, we're able to get this launched with the state support and the Technology Council's leadership. I think our goal ultimately is increasing the job retention and growth here in the county. And of that first cohort, I think even though their metrics, because this program is statewide, is that 50% be based in the county. I believe, is it true, Michelle, that all those students are from Montgomery County, or the majority?
Yeah, for the first year, it's 25, but the first cohort, all 6 were from Montgomery County.
Montgomery
so those
County.
numbers probably will be, yeah.
And there seem to have, and I know Councilmember Balcombe was at the opening where WorkSource Montgomery was there in presence. I've seen a close partnership there, which I think will help those employees who are newly trained get placed, because we know it's not just training, but wraparound skills and services for those entering the workforce. That's important. We've asked the Tech Council to let us know when their next cohort or next opportunity to have a cohort would be available, so that you as council members and we can promote the opportunity to do this type of training to all the residents, not just the industry partners who might be more aware. And I think that Michelle, I understand, has plans to do that in the future. I can tell you, after that ribbon cutting, I was at a different event, and 2 people from a different firm, not the one who already made the hire, told me they were impressed with the program and asked me to connect them to one of those 6 to do interviews. So apparently that hiring has not yet happened, but they valued it, which was good to hear. And then, as you know, that this brings an extra resource and does not diminish, but complements the training that's offered at Montgomery College and USG, so it fills a good niche.
Perfect, thank you so much. Ms. Ferron, can you clarify when is going to be the next cohort? When are you planning to have that?
It's going to be in the spring. So WorkSource Montgomery received a grant through TEDCO, and part of the grant is for life sciences workforce development. So in the next year and a half, we're going to be doing 2 or 3 more cohorts, and the next one will be in spring.
Thank you. And before I open it up with my colleagues, can you talk with more detail about your transition to self-sufficiency?
Yes. So with our workforce initiative and our coalition, it is looking into the companies that are in Montgomery County. The AstraZenecas, the Regenex Bios, those companies that are in need for new workers, a direct pipeline to some that are coming out of high school or to veterans. But specifically, it's upskilling their own company employees as well. And then it will in turn be funding the BioHub.
Thank you so much. We're going to kick it off with Councilmember Sayles.
Okay. Thank you, Madam Chair. And thank you so much, Ms. Ferron, for the presentation, and Ms. Costello for being here. We know that strategic investments in the biotech industry are more important now, more so than ever before. but we do have limited resources, so Chair Fani-González asked my first question about your pathway to your pathway to self-sufficiency. So I look forward to regular updates to ensure we're working towards that goal.
Okay.
With regards to the training program, I noticed the cohort was 6 students, and out of those 6 students, only 1 student was employed following that training. And it looks like 50 to 130 students will be trained annually up through fiscal year 29. Have you forecasted what the expected economic development impact would be and how it aligns with the county's workforce development goals? These numbers were surprisingly very low, and I was also at the opening and saw room for dozens of students in those classrooms. So I'm just trying to understand what's happening in these 2 weeks. What are the total number of hours these students are going through? What certification are they leaving with?
Yes, thank you. So within, as you've seen and you know, since October, since our opening, we are in that planning stages for enrolling our students. Now, the program, the master class that we run with WorkSource Montgomery, that is a 2-week course, and it's 4 days a week. And it was, I believe, for 6 hours a day. The numbers that we have put in as in our draft for, you know, the first year at 50 and then up and then more and more as we move on to 2029, we do expect that that is going to increase significantly. Since this is a new program for the BioHub, bringing in those 50 students this first year is a goal that we do plan to achieve. And again, the 25 that are in Montgomery County. But we will work on that with the economic development and putting those numbers to the students. We will work on those numbers for you to have that in our next report.
Yeah, given that we are contributing a significant amount to this program and only half of the students are from Montgomery County, and I'm not even sure how many of those students, once they finish this training, are working in Montgomery County. So I'm trying to understand what the economic benefit is to Montgomery County, having this incredible facility right here, very close to 2 credible organizations, Universities of Shady Grove, Montgomery College. I'm just trying to understand how we're getting a return on our investment.
I can definitely work on those numbers for you in the next report. I just want to make sure that I put that all down. I will tell you that a lot of these, the one thing that the companies, industry do like, and why they want to send people to BioHub or people want to go to BioHub is because it is customized training. It is indeed like, so for instance, if somebody's going to AstraZeneca, I'm only using this for example, just their company name. But if they're going to AstraZeneca, they have the opportunity to take these short courses that will then get them into the door for them to then get training in AstraZeneca as well. So it's not taking that full 4 years. It's just it's a very customized and shorter term for these students to go through. So that's why I'm hoping that it's going to be going through a lot more as you see on the paper, that we're going to have a lot more students coming through the program.
Of the students that are not from Montgomery County, where are those students coming from and how are they being recruited?
So the students are coming from Montgomery County, and the other students, they're coming from anywhere from in the state. If, you know, we were looking at, Kite Pharma was interested in using the facility to upskill some of their employees, they could use the facility as well. But 80% of those life science companies are here in Montgomery County. So we are pulling from the companies and we're pulling from the residents in Montgomery for those specific numbers. They are our first goal in getting the BioHub up and running, or those outside residents in Montgomery County.
And of those 2 weeks, how many training hours are offered for completion of this program?
It was 4 hours a day, so it was,
For 4 days?
Yes,
So that's
yes.
really 8 days, not 14 days. And 4 hours for 8 days, 30 hours for these training hours. Oh, she's frozen again.
Ms. Ferron, if you can please turn off your screen, the camera, maybe that will help you. You're frozen. Try now, can you say something?
Yes, is that better?
Yeah, much better, thank you. Just keep it off.
I'm sorry.
Okay, so it's about 32 hours for the full
Yes, 32 to
course.
40 hours, and they do get a certificate of completion, yes. And
can-
WorkSource Montgomery, and also, WorkSource Montgomery is one path to residence. You know, we're gonna be working with schools, we're gonna be, you know, working with marketing to the residents, and, you know, according to the life science companies in Montgomery County, they're very interested in bringing on these people for jobs.
Oh, good. That was going to be my next question of how you're marketing to MCPS or other school systems throughout Maryland. I know that Hood College was listed as a partner. What are your connections with USG and Montgomery College? And what
So
have
we
you
have-
established with MCPS?
Sure. So we are working to have a relationship with the schools, and I'm talking about, you know, the high schools. One thing we would like to do is we would like to put into the high schools, as you know, they have their, you know, you could go and you could be a plumber, or you could go and you could do electrical work, et cetera. So we're looking to put BioHub in there as a track within the high schools, and then that's going to be something we're gonna start working on later on next year. But on our board of directors, we do have David Bonar from USG. He is on our board of directors, and we work with him very closely. And we also work with Montgomery College. You know, we've even done grant applications with them as well. So for me, for moving forward, I would love to see where BioHub is a complement of the universities, especially USG. So if there's something that a company needs or wants for their students, and it's not something that they can get at USG or they can get at Montgomery College, they can come to BioHub for that specialized training for 1 or 2 classes or whatever it might be, just to round out that student and make them more marketable to the companies.
Thank you for that. I noticed you have some partnerships already established with organizations like AstraZeneca, WorkSource Montgomery, as you mentioned. What about the Department of Commerce? Have these organizations contributed to increasing the visibility of BioHub Maryland?
Yes, we do have a great relationship as well with Department of Commerce. They've really actually been part of this journey with us from the very beginning. And we have been going out to outside of the state, we've been going to other exhibits to showcase everything that Maryland's about, as well as, you know, the opportunities available in Maryland. So we will be attending Bio in June, and that's in Boston, and we're going to have a lot of information about BioHub and of course Maryland and what it has to offer specifically with Montgomery County.
I know that you've been communicating with them, but are they raising awareness about the trainings that you offer?
Yes, they are.
Okay,
And they are and they are also part of our Workforce Coalition.
awesome. And my last question is about the travel. I noticed that you're going on tours, Meisner, Ecolab, other industry organizations. Can you share what the cost of these tours have been, and have we received any new staff that have joined BioHub, or any economic activity that's resulted from these travels?
Thank you. The travels actually, I'm sorry, the tours were for outside companies coming to look at BioHub. So after our opening ceremony, we've gotten a lot of press. So Meisner is located in California. they actually have taken some of their staff to Nybert to take this training. But now that they see that it's in Montgomery County, it's closer to some of their facilities in Boston, they want to now come to use the Montgomery County BioHub to train their staff. So a lot of the tours were people coming in to the facility to look and see what we can do.
Okay,
I'm sorry for that. That was miscommunicated. That was my fault there. Sorry.
okay. I was like, we're going to California. Okay. All right. Thank you, Ms. Ferrone.
Thank you.
Thank you for that, Councilmember Balcombe.
Yes, thank you for the presentation, and it's exciting to think about the future and filling up the capacity. And we just had WorkSource Montgomery in this week for a briefing, short briefing, and the employer connection is such a critical component of this training in this facility, to have a relationship with the employers to make sure that we have employment slots for not only to have employment at the end of this program, but to really tailor the program to what the employers need. And so I think that's the underpinning. I also I appreciate Councilmember Sayles' questions about capacity and effective use of the space. What is your capacity if you were to have relationships with the employers and be able to recruit students? What is your full capacity every year for that space?
That's a great question. We can do currently with the way it's working at this time and the trainers, we could do up to 10 per class. So it just depends. So some of the classes are 1 to 2 days. Some of the classes are, as you saw with WorkSource Montgomery, they're 2 weeks. But the capacity for one trainer is 6 to 10 students at a time. So if, we could probably put 15 students in there. We would just need to have another trainer, which is in our goal for next year to have 2 trainers. But yes, it's probably 15 per class, 6 to 15 per class.
So if I'm just doing quick
Sure.
back of the envelope math. So if you had, if they were all 2-week classes, and a trainer could do 10 per class, that's 200 students
Per year.
per year. And so how can we get to bigger numbers quicker?
That's a fantastic question. And I think it's going to happen within the next year or so. It's just really getting out there, making sure that we have our message out there, which we're doing a great job at, I feel. It's really going to take time for it to get to those numbers, and I feel like we will get there in the next few years. But it's a slow process as we're getting the education out there for the training center. And once we start seeing a lot of the companies that are going to use the facility as well as the students, it's just going to ramp up as we go along.
Okay. And then the companies using the facility, is that a revenue source for you?
That's where we were talking about our long-term financial goal. So if there's, companies outside like the Meisners or
Right.
things like that, they want to come up and use it, yes, we are going to charge them for training. And that's where that's going to come from.
Got it. Okay. And you'll charge them per student, or you'll charge them like a rental fee?
Both.
Okay.
So per student, definitely, and if it's an outside organization, we will charge them a rental fee as well. It just depends on if they're coming in just to use the facility with their own trainers.
Sure, what the relationship is. Okay, so I appreciate that. And so in the earlier, the 2 earlier presentations that we had today, a lot of the discussion was about partnerships and working across the board. And so we have a lot of people and programs reaching industry. And so I think it's important for you to make sure that you're tied, that the BioHub is linked in with our business center, our MCEDC, certainly the life sciences industries. We have all those connections, and the county's done a really great job of knowing who those industries are, who those individuals are in the industry. So I think that we can really help in making sure that this is a success. So we can talk offline about how to make that happen.
I would really appreciate that. Thank you.
Yes, and we look forward to receiving your communication, your flyer, information about the next cohort, so we can also help push. And also, I'm very interested, the committee is very interested in seeing how you're also promoting Montgomery County in your marketing. Councilmember Glass has the next question.
Thank you very much, Ms. Ferrone. I just have one follow-up question, and it was regarding the exciting news that you've already placed one hire with United Therapeutics and Go UT. Just wanted to ask, do you know what the salary was, right? So that we want to make sure that people who come through this are getting commensurate and high-paying salaries.
I can definitely find that out for you. They have kept some of the things very close with the individual, but I can find out and then I can send an update on that.
Okay.
Hi, Kelly.
That's great. Whether or not it is the actual salary or the position, right, that we can infer something from that. But as more go through the program and get job placements, we'll want to know where they're going to expand upon the great news. So thank you for the presentation.
Absolutely, thank you. And I do know it's for a clinical trial administrative role. The salary I don't know, but I can find that out.
But that's also should be part of your marketing materials. That's something that people wanna understand. Otherwise, that's a huge pitch to get people to join the program and get trained, knowing what are they going to get financially out of it. Thank you so much for the presentation, and honestly, I hope the next time you come to the committee, you can come in person. It makes a huge difference for us, and it's just very important. But thank you for everything that you have done, and we look forward to more communication, and let us help you. I want you to understand that let us help you because we want you to be successful.
Thank you.
So with that, Ms. Costello, do you have a final word? Are you okay?
All good here. If you're okay, we're okay.
Love it. Well, we'll talk about that during the budget. But thank you so much, everyone, for being here today. Thank you, Mr. Ali. You can breathe now. You're stressing out. And have a good day. We are adjourned.
He's like sweating and going up and down. I just think we get to be in this room more often.
Oh, this is so great.